Alright, hello everyone. I'm whispering, or I'm kind of speaking quite quietly because it's quite late. My kids are in bed, and Sam's just watching an episode of Black Books on the TV next door. If you haven't seen Black Books, I really recommend it. It's a really good 90s sitcom. It's not exactly selling it particularly strongly, but believe me, it's really funny. But that's not the point, really. The point is, I'm just making a little video to share with you the example that I'm making at home at the moment, which goes alongside the brief that we set you for this automatic drawing, which I guess you're about 3 hours into now, possibly. I'm not sure, I've lost track slightly, but the idea is that you're going to be working on it this morning in this morning's lesson as well. So I've been working on an example myself, which I've got on the easel next to me. I haven't spent that long on mine. I've spent about an hour on it, but I just wanted to introduce you to my approach and just talk a little bit about thought processes and things like that, so I'm at least having some input into your learning from afar. So here we go. Let's just have a little look and see what I've been up to. Alright, so here it is. I've decided to work on white paper, and I picked up some different colour biro pens. I made an example for upper senior using a felt tip pen, which I then sort of splashed some water on, and it did this quite nice thing where the ink dissolved. I thought it made quite an interesting mark. And what I've decided to do with this is I kind of picked the theme of transience and permanence. And I thought it'd be quite nice to explore what can be done with these biro pens where the ink is oil based instead of water based. Obviously there's an awful lot of hand sanitizer around at the moment, and I kind of noticed that the alcohol in hand sanitizer has a similar effect on biro kind of oil based pens as water has on the felt tip pen. So I just started out kind of drawing these horizontal lines. I was just listening to some music, and that seemed like a kind of nice thing to do, was to kind of just draw these back and forth horizontal lines, kind of denoting time passing possibly in some way, this idea of things moving down the page. And also a lot of my work that I make, generally speaking, has got a bit of a relationship to writing or written kind of printed text in some way. So that kind of back and forth, side to side thing is something that appears in quite a lot of my work. And then I just started splashing this hand sanitizer on, and it made some really quite interesting and nice marks. Now, the thing that's on my mind at the moment as I get ready to kind of progress with this is something that I noticed. Oops. Sorry, just turn that around. Yeah, I really like what's happened on the back. So I don't know whether you can see that, but there's this really nice effect where, oops, there you go, where the sort of ink is stained through. So you get this lovely kind of staining of the paper, and the mark is less obvious, it's a bit more mysterious. I quite like this. It was accidental, entirely accidental. So I'm kind of not sure which side of the paper to work on next. Now, this is why am I showing you this? Well, first of all, I kind of wanted to show you because I was quite excited about it, which is always a good sign when you're making something. But secondly, the point is that you've kind of got to learn to embrace the unexpected, okay, and remain open to things that you had not planned or had not foreseen. It's so important in any creative process to just be alert to that. And it's an interesting idea, really, because people will sometimes say, well, you didn't intend to do that, and therefore it's kind of not as valuable because somehow you didn't mean to do it. Well, I'm going to say that that's total nonsense, and that kind of attitude just comes from people who really, quite honestly, don't understand creativity, because what's happening here is if you're making something and something accidental happens and you notice the quality of that accident, that's where the artistic skill is. Okay, spotting and noticing things and recognizing their value and embracing that and then doing something with it, that's the kind of art. And you know, anyone who tries to tell you that just because something hasn't been deliberately done or something happened by accident, therefore is not valuable, or somehow kind of isn't as good as something that was intentional, are completely missing the point. If people hadn't paid attention to accidents and noticed them and done something with them, there'd be no photography, there'd be no penicillin, and heaven knows how many other things in the history of kind of human invention. So, you know, embrace the unexpected, okay? Embrace the accidental. I'll maybe make another video in a little bit showing you what comes next with this. And the joy is, I've got absolutely no idea at the moment what that's going to be. Alright, so this is it. I'm kind of on the floor in my living room now with this kind of old desk lamp from biology from years ago, I think. So yeah, here it is. I first of all I picked up a felt pen, started drawing on the stained side of the paper, and then flicked some water at it to get these kind of sort of blurring kind of marks. And that was a line that sort of wandered around the page a little bit more randomly than the horizontal lines that I initially drew. And then I just picked up a pencil and I kind of, it was almost like I started drawing on it, almost like writing. I don't know if you can see this, but some of these marks that kind of go across the page, like, let's have a look, like these things, if you can just sort of look here. This is just kind of really loosely held pencil, just kind of taking a line for a walk in a fairly kind of automatic way without really thinking about it. But it's kind of weird how it's almost become like handwriting, but in a language that you couldn't ever decipher, you know, because it's not making words. And I thought that was I sort of recognised that as I was doing it. I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting, actually. It reminds me a little bit of, I don't know if anybody's ever seen where people claim to summon spirits through kind of Ouija boards and things like that. And occasionally you get examples of writing that's supposed to have been made by poltergeists or kind of voices from the other side, you know, and it sort of reminded me a little bit of that, actually. It's kind of interesting. And at one point I just started making this repeated mark. I wasn't really thinking about it, but then it started to become like the letter M repeated over and over, which I thought was quite nice, because then that started to summon up the idea of a sound as well to me, this kind of sort of humming, kind of buzzing sound, which is another thing, I suppose, that I kind of start to think about this drawing now as it evolves and develops. It's almost like layers of strange data or something. That's kind of how it's starting to feel to me, you know, like layers of noise or data or voices or something kind of built up one on top of another. And also kind of on the writing thing, I've started another one as well, kind of got this other piece on going at the same time. So this is, again, it kind of almost looks like a letter written by I don't know, somebody incredibly old, or perhaps again by a poltergeist or something. So there are no words here, but it just has the feel of handwriting. I think that's quite an interesting little idea, actually. even the structure and the layout of it, if I just zoom back a little bit, it's almost like I kind of was getting a little bit conscious of it by the time I got to the end. And so I've put a marker at the bottom which looks like it could be someone signing off, you know, at the end of a handwritten letter. And this was in a permanent pen, and I've again flicked some of that hand sanitizer on it to get these marked. And interestingly, this wasn't the first thing I did on this paper. The first thing I did was on the other side. Again, a kind of sort of pencil and kind of pen drawing. I don't know, everything I've done tonight's got this kind of manic, frantic kind of energy about it. But there were some quite nice contrasting kind of marks starting to emerge now from this bleeding permanent pen. So there you go, that's kind of a couple of stages into my drawings. And like I say, I've got 2 on the go. I know we sort of set the idea of spending 5 hours on one, but don't ever feel limited by what we tell you to do. You know, if you want to kind of shoot off and kind of start working on more than one piece, then that's great. Who knows, these 2 might actually combine together at some point in the next 3 hours of me working. So there you go. Yeah, that's it. That's how it's looking so far. Get on with it today and this weekend, and you know, let's hopefully see how you're doing on Monday. I've been for a COVID test today. Finally managed to get one booked, so there's a chance that I may actually see you on Monday in and around school, which would be really nice. So yeah, fingers crossed with that, and hopefully I'll see you soon.